himself. So I would like to see some Muta maybe from him and just have more. It's very similar to what I said with the Phoenix versus Phoenix. If you play against Rotterdam, you just do the same but greedier. I think the same applies to ZVZ because in Muta versus Muta, there's not much space to outskill your opponent in terms of micromanagement. In terms of taking fights, it's pretty much just okay. Whoever has more Mutas is gonna win. The only the one thing where you can see the skill go into in Muta versus Muta is usually the Link Bane control and the Link Bane run bys, which I think YoGo can, if he just plays passive, can do well in.
Fairly similar build orders. YoGo did go for the extractor before the pull, whereas JimRising I think went pull then extractor. But yeah, not much difference. Is there anything really crazy that you can do? Well, like, what's the craziest thing you can do in ZVZ, you think, right now? Let's say you're really desperate, you feel like you're outmatched. What would be one of the best things to try in these kind of games?
I think a Roach Bane would be one option for YoGo.
But like,
because
what variants of it exactly?
Like you just open a third hatch, so it looks very standard, and then you either one gas with 27 drones or two gas with 32 drones, and then you just attack, make roaches, reinforce with Zerglings and Morph Banelings at the front. I think that's one way to go about it. The other thing that's obviously not an option anymore would be a one base build, 12 gas, 11 pool, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think YoGo just he didn't get to show, like we didn't get to see if his macro was so much worse than JimRising in the second game at all because he was so far behind. I think he can just play standard himself as well.
What do you think is the key to being good at ZVZ?
Scouting. A lot has to do with scouting. Honestly, just being able to drone, like constantly, never floating larva is very important. So you want to be very decisive with whether you make units or drones, and in order to be able to have the right decision there every single time, you just need to be active on the other side. So it's very multitasking heavy even in the early game, just constantly controlling Zerglings on the other side. And then the most important part in the mid game is good army movement. That is probably the most important, especially in Roach versus Roach.
Yeah. What about, like you say army movement, but do you also mean like pre-setting the concave and stuff, like in fights?
Yeah, that kind of stuff, and just being able to split up armies. Usually on high level, there's always 3 different Roach armies running around the map, and being able to judge where you have more army than your opponent, so you can engage, judging where you have to back off a bit. And then, as you said, like going into good positions is just very important, because usually you can preset a concave, but your opponent can just not run into it. But sometimes you can force your opponent to engage into a concave. And YoGo is actually literally playing the build that I just talked about, the 27 1-gas Roach all-in. It's exactly the build I talked about.
Pretty sick. Running across the map with lots of links right now. Roach run about to finish. He's got 10 lava and building up. It's gonna be a lot of roaches starting. It's also, is he trying to kind of sell this as well? Because he ran in there with a couple links. Almost as if, you know, he didn't care about them and like, you know, everything looks normal, but behind this he's making a lot of units.
Pretty much. It's a very standard thing to just, with your first injects, just make a round of Zerglings, and then while taking a third base, just be a bit aggressive. So yeah, definitely what you said. It looks very standard in the eyes of JimRising, and this is exactly the push I was talking about. It's very hard to hold with Mutas, because the way JimRising plays, he is mining so much gas, which is completely useless in this attack. And usually the way to hold this is with roaches, right? You want your own roaches. Usually you want to scout what your opponent is doing, but he obviously doesn't have any roaches. So as long as YoGo is waiting for his own Banelings, his defending is run by quite well, by the way. I think he has a good shot of taking this. JimRising on very low drone count himself, though.
Yeah, and he's mining so much gas too, which is kind of useless. He's not even making a spire. He's really respecting this attack here. Really focusing on the defense. I would like to see him stop mining gas for a little bit. Especially if he's not going to make a spire, right? Oh my god, the Bailings! Oh, they're just gonna stare at one another for the longest time, and now everything gets blown up to pieces. And just like that, YoGo's army evaporated completely. That was so weird.
That was really... Yeah, this was just bad execution, honestly. I think you're Yeah, if I see this many banelings, I morph Ravagers and wait and try to poke away from the spines. And I do not send in my Zerglings as long as there's still banelings left over, or I try to avoid the banelings at least. But JimRising's banelings just get so much done there, and well, now YoGo is trying to drone up, and I actually think even though this completely failed, YoGo is not in that bad of a position, simply because of how two-base Muta works. Um, JimRising was on a very low drone count himself, and he kind of doesn't have the minerals right now to drone up, as well as making a third base, as well as making the Mutas. So I think he needs to make Mutas before taking a third hatchery.
Yeah.
Which means YoGo, as long as he just... I think YoGo should just be making queens right now and links and banes to defend. And he should actually be ahead, even though this attack was kind of questionably executed.
Yeah, Spire is about to finish and he has 2 lava so far, so these injects need to finish fast. So he can start enough mutas. Ooh, catching an overlord here. Pretty nice. Because there is not even any cute, so it's going to be a big supply block actually for a long time. He starts 4 overlords, YoGo!
Yeah, and he's going for the 1-1 ling upgrades again, so I like the style that YoGo is going into. I really hope this time he doesn't overmake spores early on, because that really cut into his mineral mining and also in his strong count.
Hey, he overreacted a lot, you think?
Yeah, exactly. This time he kind of needs at least some spores because there's already defensive spines and he doesn't have ling upgrades already. But last time he already had his upgrades done and the mutas weren't on his way to his base for like another 4 minutes where he already made 10 spores. So those could have been 10 more drones mining and a lot more minerals going into like an extra hatchery, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think 1 spore per base and having the queens in between the bases is good enough.
Pretty sure he saw those links here with his overlord on the left side, so JimRising is just gonna kinda when I covered that. And there's banelings in defense, it's just impossible for links to achieve much here. They can't run past everything.
Yep.
So what about the spores? Did he overreact, you think? Or because he made
I think
2 spores on the natural. 3 spores.
Yeah. I don't like it. I would have preferred seeing him just spread creep and defend with banelings, with queens, and have 1 spore to go back to, and maybe 1 spore in between the bases. And I think now that he sees the mutas at home, he can try doing something at the other side of the map, but as you said, there's spines and banelings at home, so there's not too much he can do. But now YoGo's queens are disjointed, which means they can't fight by themselves against the mutas. And I wouldn't say he's in that much trouble, as long as he doesn't lose too much more against the mutas. But I like this fourth positioning in the main, I don't know.
Yeah, they're like super spread out, even in the natural, even in the third base, kind of weird. By the way, I don't know if you caught those banelings on the third base, but like the second one hit like 12 drones that put them on 1 hit points. That was insane.
Yeah, I didn't see that. But...
And now they regenerated already quite a bit.
Oh, actually YoGo has 0 banelings, right? Oh, this is very scary for YoGo here. Because JimRising found this one spot where there's no spore, which means if he can force the queens to go into the main base with his Zerglings, he can force them to fight without a spore caller, and the Zerglings in the main base of YoGo right now starting to go ham on the workers. The banelings just now finished. Oh, good connections here for YoGo.
Drones had to be transferred. I think that was an overreaction though. Were they really unsafe up there? He was covered on the ground. It's more the mutas that were worrying, and he had spores there, so it's kind of weird that he transferred drones.
There were like 10 links fighting against the drones. I think he had to transfer them. Pretty sure. I also don't think he realized there was no +1 on the links. If there was +1 on the links, 100% the transferring is correct. But since there's no +1, maybe it was a bit of an overreaction.
Damn it. Some air attack being queued as well from JimRising. You think this is the right play?
Yeah, I think he should start getting +1 as well for his Zerglings, and he should drone. Both of the players should just drone up more. I feel like they're both a bit afraid to drone. I think they're underestimating how easy it is to not die if you have banelings, and the other guy just has Zerglings to kill you. And in YoGo's case, he obviously has spores. But I think as soon as this 2-2 is done for YoGo, JimRising can never again take a 4th base. So if YoGo somehow manages to just get Ultras out this time, it's going to look a whole lot different, because JimRising won't be able to get his own Ultras. JimRising won't be able to get us like up to 5 base and 10 gas and a shit ton of mutas. Oh, he needs to be careful with his queens.
So many queens have died in all of these games. So insane. He's killed
Oh,
11
these
queens here already. And JimRising is looking to buzz that third base here. Baning's gonna roll in there, blow up a lot of these drones. Mutas are fighting spores, even though there are a lot of them. Queens hardly can make their way over there. Fungal's gonna land on top of these Mutas. But does he have enough damage? Link's on the ground helping against the Queens as well, and it looks like YoGo just cannot get any momentum going. He cannot mount the defense he needs here.
Yeah, he's so close to holding though. He has 2-2 upgrades. Like his links will completely shred his opponent's links. He just doesn't have enough